Hi guys, this is Joe popping on, and I want to wish you all a happy New Year's Eve. This is going to be my top 10 Funko Pops of the year for 2019. There were some really, really good ones. These ones are all just my opinion. These are the ones that I like the most. I don't think it's for everybody, 100%, definitely not. But for me, these were my favorites for the year. They're very subjective to me because, of course, it's I'm the one who's choosing them. And I just really love all of these figures. And some of them are like, I chose one from a line because I don't want to fill the whole thing up with like all Dragon Ball Z, like all My Hero Academia, all Marvel. So I'm just trying to choose like one from each category that I felt, for me, was like the standout one in that category. I'm going to start off with some subgroups because I don't want to kind of muddy the waters in my top 10. So for the first ones I want to do is actually going to be my favorite 10-inch pop for the year. I like the 10-inch pops. I don't get too many of them, but there are some really great ones this year. But I have to say my favorite has to be AntMan. I really like AntMan. He's one of my favorite ones of the Marvel movies that have come out. I just really like it. It stands nice on its own, little heist movie. I think the actor is really funny in it, and I really enjoy it. And I love now we have the like smallest Funko Pop bobblehead, and now we have him large. And they look so great next to each other. He's normally up here next to some of my other Ant-Men, and I just really like him. I think they did such a great job on him. He's not anything super special because he's the exact same as his common. But the nice thing is he's also the exact same as his common. So it's fun because you see him big and small. So when he hits the button, he grows big and he's in the exact same stance. And I thought this one was just really nice. I really liked it. I have to say I like to get some of the 10-inch ones. I don't try to get too many of them because they do take up a lot of room. There were some other great standout ones. One for me, I have to say, is Ursula 10-inch. I really like that one. I felt was perfect as a 10-inch because she grows giant at the end of the movie and it just fits perfectly and stuff like that. So I don't know. For me, that one was mine. Number one for 10-inch pops. All right, so up next, I have to say we're going to go do pop rides. Once again, I'm doing this one separately because they're expensive. And you're technically getting two figures for the price of one, and they're really nice. And my number one standout, there were a couple really fun ones this year, but this one stood out to me above all the rest. And it's 100% the Ring Wraith with the Nazgul. Like, this thing is amazing. It looks so great. I love the dragons. I don't normally get any of the dragons because I'm not a Lord. Oh, don't want to drop him. Let's show you the back. As you can see, they come apart nicely, and you can display them nicely together. Like you can have them standing next to them. It just looks so good. They just did a nice job. As I was saying with the dragons, is I don't watch Game of Thrones, and a couple of the really cool dragons are from Game of Thrones. And these guys just look amazing. Great detail on everything, down to the scales, the helmet, the teeth, the tongue. Oh, everything about this stood out to me as like, this would probably be in like at least my top 5 for pops of the year. But for me, like, he stands on his own because some people can't do pop rides. They're too expensive. And so I'm just trying to keep the other ones separate towards normal pops. Then we go. I'm going to do movie moments. I like the movie moments. They do take up a lot of room. But there were some really nice ones again this year. But the one that 100% stands out to me is Ballad of the Fallen Angels. This thing is gorgeous. It really fits into the whole concept of movie moment for me. This was technically an anime moment, but I count them all as like a movie moment, anime moment. They're all the moments. And this one is so nice because you have a great iconic scene of the two characters together. But one thing they have to do well, I feel, with them is they also have to make a great scene. And the stained glass window on this makes this so nice. It really does. It really makes it stand out. You can even see light coming through it onto the ground over here. And it looks like they actually colored some of the ground, so it looks like it's coming through also. They did such a good job. They really paid attention to detail, and I really like it. I really love how they're doing a lot of these movie moments. They're getting a little bit more advanced. They took our feedback, and they're doing a nice job. Once again, these are expensive, and so I am categorizing this one. I'm putting this one in its own little category that I felt that it won as, which is just wonderful. I think it's really great. So here we go. Excellent. So there is one more I wanted to do before I get into my top 10, and it's going to be the multi-pack. I can't justify putting it in with the normal like one-of figures because it's not. You're technically buying 2 to 3 to 4 figures, and you pay a good deal more. So these ones I'm putting separately, but I really, really love the figures. And for me this year, the one that I love the most for the multi-pack had to be the hyenas from The Lion King. I thought they did such a nice job. Once again, I love the villains, and them having the 3 of them is just so good. These ones just 100% had to get. It killed me because they came out with so many great ones for Emerald City Comic Con, and I had to go grab these ones. They were so great. The only reason I believe these ones were like not sold out is because they did. I did do a 3-pack, and they are expensive. And once again, that's why they can't make it into my top 10 because, dang, these ones really were hard to get at the time for me because I was just like, I was doing so many. But I had 100%, I was happy with getting them. They just do so well, and they look great with the new Scar, especially since it's from the scene with Pride when he's singing to the hyenas. It just looks so great together. So that's why this one has to be, hands down, my top multi-pack. Let's move on to my top 10 Funko Pops of the year. Once again, some of these are maybe not like outstanding to everybody, but to me, I really like them, and I really like them towards the waves they went to. And so I'm picking out like my favorite. I'm going to start off with one that I love that they made these in the figures. And that one is Avatar. I am a giant Avatar fan. I love the show. I think it's such a great one. And I'm picking my favorite character. I think Uncle Iroh is just amazing. I loved him as a character in the show. I'm so glad he got a figure with his cup of tea. I thought he was just a great one to have made. And they didn't really make many outside of the core group of actually kids. Which makes sense because they are the main characters and stuff. But I was so happy they made Iroh because he's always with Zuko, and they go well together. And it would feel a little weird with having Zuko without Iroh. And he just looks so great. I love the cup of tea, the bags under his eyes, the lines on his forehead. Just really great. I love this entire line. I really do. I'm like, I hope they make some more. But if they don't, they really hit all the really great notes of the show. And I have to say, I love this line. I'm so happy they did it. And he had to get my number 10 spot. All right, moving on from there, I'm going to go to a show that I also like. And I was so happy they actually came out with figures for it. And that one actually, for me, is Ruby. I really like the show Ruby. And I'm going to pick this, was it New York Comic Con? No, San Diego Comic Con. Sorry about that. San Diego Comic Con version of Ruby. Because I like her with the hood up. I think it's just a little different. It looks really great. But these ones, all of them are great. I love the core group that they made. I really, once again, I do hope they make a couple more. I would love the other group. And everything to do with the show I think is really great and really translate well into pop form. I do love the silver eyes they gave her because it's a big part of the show, especially now. And her weapon, her scythe, looks so great, so well detailed. I just think they did a really good job with this one. And I was happy they made these into pops. Like, I was really, really shocked when they announced them. And I was happy to go get them. So this one, I have to say, would be my number 9. Just really nicely done, really well detailed. And also, another great new line for us to get. So I like this show. It kind of got off the rails, but I really like it. I read it all the way to the end, and I've watched a good bit of the show. And for me, this one I'm going to go with is Fairy Tale. I like Grisel. I really hope they do actually make all of the Dragon Slayers because they're very important to the show. And they made him. And this one was the New York Comic Con exclusive one where he's actually using his dragon ability, which I really like because he's steel. His dragon power is steel. I have the full lineup of Fairy Tale. I love the show. It's really fun. I felt sometimes it did get off the rails a bit, but you know what? It was, for me, it always got back on, and I enjoyed the ride all the way to the end. But I have to say, Grisel is going to take my number 8 spot. I love the damage on his chest right here, where it's like chink, and it just like bounces off of him because, of course, he's metal. And this is also a great pop in the sense that I really hope they do the other Dragon Slayers with this, like Wendy and Natsu, and their Dragon Slayer forms, and then the 2 that they are missing that are also Dragon Slayers. They could also do the Light and Dark Dragons. Like, they could all look really cool as an alternate variant, like they did this one, because they opened the floodgates with this one, and I would love to see them do that because the Dragon Slayers are a big part of the entire show. So, of course, he gets my number 8. Moving on to the number 7 spot. This one is more that I just really like it, and I very rarely get this kind of figure. And for me, this one is actually going to be Freddy Funko. I like the New York City police officer, Freddy Funko. I think it's really nice. I think it's such a cool outfit for him. I have very, very, very few Freddy Funkos for my collection because they go to the Funko shop. They're not ones I can normally pick up wandering around. And some of the times I'm just kind of like, I'm not really into it. I know they are Funko's mascot, but I collect Funko more for the stylized figures for the shows that I love. And so I very rarely get their mascot. But this one I really liked because it goes back to where my hometown where I was born in New York. And I really like the whole outfit, and I like the cup. And the little crown for like NYPD. It just looks really good. I just thought this one was a really fun pop, and I was really happy to get my hands on it. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to and everything because, once again, it was a New York Comic Con exclusive. It went to the Funko shop, and everything on the Funko shop usually sells out pretty quick, or it sits there for a long time. And this one, I was lucky. I was happy, and very happy to have gotten him. And he's just really cool. Just a very different figure for me. I liked him next to my Statue of Liberty one that I actually went out of my way to go find because I just really wanted it, and was really just wanted something for like for my favorite city because I'm from there. So, all right, we're gonna move on. Excellent. For the next figure, I'm gonna go with my favorite character to get figures for, and this one is nothing super amazing. But I just really like the pose, the figure, and everything, so I'm going to go with SpiderMan hanging on the building. I really like this one from the new movie. It really fits the whole theme of the movie. I like that they use this one's his outfit that he makes at the end with the Tony Stark like on the plane. And I don't know. I just think it's really nice. I really like the action poses for Spider-Man. I think they fit really well. Like, I really love the one they came out with last year when he's hanging upside down from the lamppost. And this one makes me feel like very much like that one. And so that's why it goes to my number one of the Spider-Man for the year. Because I collect tons of Spider-Man. He's my favorite one to collect. And I just think it looks really good, and I was really happy to get this one. And it was also the hardest one for this little run to find. And so I have to say, I think they did a great job. Now, going on to my number 5 spot, I'm going into ones that just are like my favorite shows. And one I was so happy they did was a show that I really, really liked. Me and my brother watched it. Every Saturday night they had it on Adult Swim, and the one I'm talking about is Yu Yu Hakusho. And I'm going to go with, actually not my favorite character, I'm going to say the one I think they did the best job with of the figure, and that one's going to be Hiei. I really, really like Hiei. I was a little sad to see them put him behind the Funimation as an exclusive, and he also was out for one day at Hot Topic that you could go into the stores and pick him up, and that's what I actually wound up doing because I was afraid that the Funimation shop would actually sell out of him, which it's sad to say they didn't. But I love this one. He's doing the Black Dragon, and he's summoning it, and it just looks so good. I love what they did for his Jingun, his third eye. I might be saying it wrong. My apologies if I am. But they did such a nice job with it, just doing another Popeye, but doing it purple. Like, it just fits so perfectly for the character. I love dragons, and I love how they did. Here, let's see if I can get him to focus. There we go. I'm not sure if you can see that any better, but I really like this figure, and I love that they did the wave. My only complaint with this wave is a lot of the characters I wish they just had put a stand on. They don't stand so great, but they did such a great job in having them look exactly like the character. The way that Funko does the pop forms of anime characters is outstanding, and I really love it, and that's why Hiei is going to take my number 5 spot. Alrighty, now we're moving up the list. This was where it gets a little hard for me to choose. Once again, these are from lines where I could probably choose 3 to 4 to 5 in them to really choose as my top 10. But I'm trying not to because I think it's a little ridiculous to just choose like all the ones from the same line because I just love the show that much. And so I'm going to move on to my number 4 spot. It's actually going to be from My Hero Academia. And the one I chose is actually going to be Stain because I just think this mold is amazing. I have to say he's not my favorite character out there. I do like Stain. I think he's a great plot point. I think he's just really cool. But this pose is amazing. The 2 swords, him crouching down, his scarf being used as a base for him, his headband flowing up behind him, his tongue sticking out. It is just one of the coolest My Hero Academia pops out there. And of course he was for New York City Comic Con, and him and Dobby came out, and I do like him a little bit more than Dobby, how they did his design. Dobby is also amazing with the blue flames. They just went really above and beyond, I felt, with those two doing their jobs. This one was really tough for me because I wasn't sure if I was actually going to pick Stain or All Might with the giant arm that glows in the dark. But Stain, I have to say, since I only have one Stain, pops out to me so much more than All Might, which I have, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Yeah, I have 6 All Mights. So, to be really honest, Stain wins because I only have one Stain, and he's just so well made and is so cool. I really like how they did the hero killer arc in the show. It was just so well done. And that's why Stain takes my number 4. Alrighty. Going to my number 3. This might be a little off the kilt, but I am actually going to go with the 6-inch pops. I'm counting them with the normal pops because we can find them in the store with normal pops. And a lot of times they do go down in price to almost the same exact price as the real pops, which is kind of crazy to say when you buy them immediately and you're usually spending twice as much. But the one I'm going to go for is actually from one of my favorite lines, and it's actually one of the few lines I have complete, which is Overwatch. And the one that I'm going to go with for my pop of the year for them, which is taking my number 3 spot, is going to be Wrecking Ball. He is one of the weirdest characters. I was never expecting them to come out with a hamster inside a ball. Never. You could have given me a million guesses. I would have never guessed that they were giving us that. He's from the moon. He's from the same colony as Winston, where they did like experimentation on making animals smarter. And so he's a super smart hamster. He cannot speak, so the ball, the Wrecking Ball actually speaks for him. It translates. And the great part is they're not technically the same person. It's not like it's a voice box that it translates for him. It's kind of translating for him what it thinks he's saying. And it's like, at times will be like, I can't say that. That's like profanity detected and stuff like that. But the pop is just so nice. Got such great detail. And just really, like, when I saw it, I was just blown away. I did pick the normal version. There was a New York City Comic Con version that I also have, which is him in the toxic skin. But when I go for like just like my favorites, if I only was able to keep the original like outfits of Overwatch, I would, because that's what they originally look like. And I just think he looks really, really nice. And they did such great detail on him. So that's why Wrecking Ball's taking my number 3. And once again, this is just because I love him so much. Next, I am going to go to one that was extraordinarily hard for me to just choose one from. This is taking my number 2 spot. And I'm actually going to go with Marvel for my number 2 spot. Just because one really, really got me this year. And the one I'm going with for Marvel is actually surprising to me. I just really like how they did the figure. It was a surprise for me when I saw it in the movie. And then they did such a great figure for it. And to be honest, it's actually going to be Thor. I like this version of Thor. I was very, very surprised in the movie that they never had him buffed back up, especially since they were dealing with time travel. So, of course, he could go sit in the back for, like, off scene and buff back up and then time travel with them, because really there's no big rush with time travel, and be all buff in himself like from the rest of the movies. But they kept him like this, which I thought was really an interesting way to go. And I love it when he goes back in time and technically steals Mjolnir from himself, and he comes out with Stormbreaker and in the big fight. Because if you really think about it, if Thor was in his prime with Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, I bet he could have taken Thanos out no problem. But Thor kept on getting winded and tired, and he was just completely out of shape. His shape was a ball. But I love that scene. The Captain America ones are really great. The Spider-Man one with him holding the gauntlet in kill mode is also really amazing. But to be really honest, I like this one a little bit more. It just outdoes it for me. And those ones I'm still in the process of trying to find them. I could have ordered them online already and received them, but I'm just not in a giant hurry. They are commons, and I can hold off on commons for a tiny bit to get them. And so I do. Because there's others like I have to order day one or I miss them. And but to be really honest, I like Thor more than I like those two right now. And I just think it looks really great, and I do love it with him with with his hammer and his axe. He does take my number 2 spot for this lineup, and probably my favorite Marvel one they came out with this year, which is really surprising for me, as I said. All right, my number 1 goes to one of my favorite shows of all time. I do try to collect almost every single one from this line. I do skip on metallics and chrome and those kind of ones because, to be honest, I don't like repeating with them. But I almost have every single other one. And the one that for me stands out the most, and I really, really loved, and was so sad because when I first ordered it, my order was actually canceled. It was heartbreaking. I don't know why they did it. They did. And the one I am speaking of is Purunga. I really love the dragons of Dragon Ball Z. I really hope they do the Super Dragon Ball dragon as well. I think he would make an amazing figure, and since we have Shenron, now we have Purunga, which is so good. He is the Namek dragon. I'm surprised they didn't make him a tiny bit bigger than Shenron, because Shenron is, of course, an Asian dragon and is long and snaking, and if you see him in the show and stuff, it looks like he could like circle the earth kind of deal. But Purunga is just beefy. He's just this giant big dragon, and I love him. I really do. I am the year of the dragon. I love dragons. I like to collect little things with dragons on them ever since I was little. And Purunga, I have to say, when they came out with him for Emerald City Comic Con this year, Emerald City Comic Con was the best it ever has been. I don't know how come other people said it was horrible, it was bad. There were so many figures from Emerald City Comic Con that I loved. I really did. I just was like, oh my god, another that I want to get. Purunga 100% stood out on that list for me. Another one in this run was actually from Emerald City Comic Con, which was Grisel. But they did such a nice job. I just love this design. I just like Purunga as a dragon. I never thought they were going to do Purunga. He's not in the show very much. He's only on Namek during the Cell Saga. They summon him. They do use him like once or twice more. They actually go to the Namek planet to use him because they needed to. And it just is such a nice figure. It takes my number one for the year. I just thought it was so good. It is a 6-inch pop that is taking my number one, but there were so many great ones from Dragon Ball Z that I really loved. But to be honest, Purunga being a brand new character, we're never going to get another Purunga. Where it's not like Goku, which we have like 16, or Vegeta, which we have like 16. These ones are really nice. Some of the other ones that stood out to me in this line were like Chi-Chi and the androids and stuff like that. But once again, I just really like Purunga. I just thought he was a great design and a really good one to have done. And I was glad he came to Hot Topic. I don't understand how come my order got canceled this year. This is why I said I get very nervous now when I do the orders for the different conventions, because for them I got canceled, and for another site, it was GameStop, I got canceled once this year, and I don't know what's going on with the websites because my normal orders never get canceled. I think it might have just been like overload or something like that, but he 100% was amazing and was my number one had to get from that convention. So this was my top 10 ones for 2019. What are your guys' top 10 lists? I'd love to know. As I said, these ones are very, like, these are ones that I really like. I can see them not being on maybe anybody else's lists, but these ones I really like. I'm a big anime fan, big Marvel fan. Once again, I could probably have filled the list with a good many more from Marvel, but I felt I'd like to hit different notes. So if you guys have any ones that you really like that came out this year, which one you think was the number one, I'd love to know. And if you guys maybe would like to see which ones were my top flops for the years, let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to do that for you too. I try to stay more positive, but I do feel there were a couple this year that I was just kind of like, come on, Funko, what are you doing? But that's once again a whole nother video. So I hope you guys are having an awesome New Year's Eve, and you're going to have an amazing New Year's. So I wish you all a wonderful New Year. Thank you all for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe. As I said before, it helps more than you will ever know. And I am having so much fun with you guys, and can't wait to see y'all in the new year. Well, this is Joe popping on, and I'm going to be popping off, y'all. Have a good one. Toodles.